Good morning.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Jim.
There are three of us you'll notice here today. We have a special guest. We have Cameron Mc Veigh from Cesar. Cameron is the general manager of Cesar, the one on Shattuck Avenue in Berkeley, although you also kind of buy the wine and spirits for the other Cesar too, don't you, in all the restaurants?
Yeah, I
some of the restaurants.
Yeah, some of the other restaurants are the same owner. I buy wine and help out with some of the cocktail programs there.
But we're interested in the one in Berkeley because we live right here.
As you should.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually next door. So Kitchen on Fire is next door to Cesar, and Cesar is a place that I've had open in 1998. And James was close to come at, when did you start? We all work together.
Well, you and I wrote the book together, the Cesar cookbook, and then I started tending bar after that. So that was in late 2003.
Oh yeah, you work there so you can pay for all the mistakes that you made?
Right, exactly. I was 10 years old when I started. Look what it's done to me. But as with everybody else in Berkeley and the world, Cesar is, we closed for what? We closed for about a month, right? And then we reopened
about 5 or 6 weeks we closed.
Is that about right?
Yeah, 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, and then we opened up. And then since then we've been doing takeout only. And then a couple months ago we started putting tables out on the sidewalk, and people were a little hesitant about it at first, and now they're filled every night. We usually have to drag a couple other tables out there.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, we're not doing service outside, but people are definitely taking the opportunity to sit outside and drink too.
So
yeah, we have to sell everything sort of contained, but we have bottles of wine, we have cocktails in little mason jars that Cameron makes up in advance. Really cool. So it's pretty fun.
So
it could be a whole new way of doing business.
Right. So
we're selling a lot of cocktails.
James, so the cool thing about having Cameron and all these restaurant people is we get some inputs on what's happening to the restaurant business today. People don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they can do. We try a bunch of stuff, and what I'd like to know is how do customers respond? Are they scared? It doesn't seem like people are very scared anymore. Huh? So they are okay to go out and mingle as long as there's a mask and there's some type of distance. But people are pretty comfortable, right? Which is good.
I suppose if you're really scared, you're not the ones coming to the restaurant. Although I do get some calls quite often with a lot of concerns.
Oh, okay.
But and wondering how easy it is to pick stuff up and how to pay and how much contact there is and that type of thing. But the vast majority of people seem very excited to be there and come back, and I see a lot of the same people every day like we did when we were open.
That's great. We need a little.
Yeah, and we're relatively safe. It's a relatively safe operation, I think. Just having those big doors in the front, and we're not doing service for people, not right in their faces. So it's
right.
It's nice, open, and airy. At least.
And there may be a possibility that you open more, right? That you can take more room. That would be great.
Yeah, that's a possibility. It's a little tricky, and I'm hesitant to ask any of our staff to start waiting on people until they're comfortable with that. But we're certainly thinking about when that time is going to come. It might start with just 4 or 5 tables inside, which would be a little tricky and quite in high demand.
Yeah, so the one of the biggest problem right now is the staffing, just like we do. We're looking for staff, right? Because either they are concerned, afraid, worried, or they don't want to work because that would change their employment, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of issues that we have to deal with, right?
We've had enough people overall, but of course we're down to a third or a fourth of the total staffing that we had before, though, too. And luckily, most of the staff is doing okay. They have other jobs, or they have school, or they have spouses.
Oh, okay.
It's my kitchen staff, though. There's a lot of guys that are struggling, especially positions like dishwashers. You know, I mean,
Yeah, no,
some of them don't have any work right now.
right. My for me,
our
for example,
whole front of the house staff has kind of been on hold since they've just kind of been standing by waiting to see what's going to happen. So a lot of us have come back right away. Others are being more cautious, and I think if anything, we're going to have trouble figuring out enough shifts for everybody rather than trying to find enough people.
really,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I think in the beginning, Cameron was struggling to get people to want to come back. And now I think people are so bored being at home that they want to come back to work. They just want to, and it's safe. I mean, I think the way we're doing it is very safe. I think people are, I don't think it's a big risk factor, what
Right.
we're doing.
Yes, I agree.
So
I'm hoping that's true.
So basically, the same for me happened. Like we're talking about the dishwasher, which is interesting because the dishwasher for me, I have to schedule him when off shifts. So it's really tricky. But my dishwasher in Oakland comes, we make a little food. But like for example, here I make my own dishes, and I have the dishwasher comes only every 2 weeks to make a big cleaning. You see, it's very difficult to schedule. Very difficult because you can't too many people at the same time. Some of my chefs, they don't want to work with anyone, which I understand. I have a couple of big chefs that, and they're right. They can't be sick. So the scheduling is really an issue, right? Because you have to open for this guy, close for this guy, make sure they don't. And there's all this protocol that you have to add as far as the timing. So you have to add 15, 20 minutes to the protocol, right? Or something for signing in. I don't know how your. Like for me, I have a whole sheet to fill up. I have some steps to do before the employee comes in the kitchen. There's a whole kind of there's a new protocol that takes about 25 minutes right there.
Yeah, well, you mean as far as like food prep times, cook times, and stuff?
For example, me, I have to fill up all this paperwork every time there is one person working. Everybody has to sign. So anyway.
I don't know. Most of these. I mean, everyone's coming back from when they were working before. I am certainly not hiring any new people. It's all the same people. But we have the same 3 guys. We have the chef, and then the same two cooks. Just 2 guys. I'm amazed they're not sick of each other yet. 6 days a week.
They don't know each other yet. That's what. They don't know each other yet.
Well, and they're happy to work. They're happy for the hours. And a lot of our other cooks are actually, had other jobs. So many of these guys work so many hours, different places, and so luckily, I think most of my cooks are doing okay. Like I said, though, it's the dishwashers and a couple of the other people, prep cooks.
Well, I think restaurants at this time have two choices. You either close, which is hard, or you do what we're doing, which is offering takeout food and trying to adapt to the situation and just do as much business as you possibly can, how you can.
Because it's not scheduled for us to reopen indoors, right? There's nothing in the plan. So there's nothing in the future close to be reopening indoors. So that's
the state of California put some guidelines and like a supposed timeline for when that would happen, but I haven't heard any specific dates or times. And then everybody has to decide too.
No, that's what I'm telling you. There's nothing for indoors.
Yeah.
Everybody has a schedule. Hair salon, gym, all this stuff have a schedule. We don't have a schedule. So that means we're completely left like unattended. There's nothing for us to do, but either hold tight and for whatever, or lose our business. I mean, this is the only solution we have right now. It's pretty crazy.
So, Cam, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your experience in the restaurant business. I know you've done pretty much everything in the restaurant business over the years, right? I mean, you've been a cook, you've been a bartender and server and manager, and when did you start?
Gosh. I think one of my first jobs when I was 16 was Cactus Taqueria in Oakland.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
It was down the street a little further, where that Squirrel Bar is now or whatever. I
remember that original.
Yeah, I just walked down the street looking for a job, and that was the first place that hired me.
Wow.
So yeah, I bust tables for a while, and then they put me in the kitchen, and I pulled apart chickens, and then I was one of the only people that spoke English in there, so it quickly moved me to the register. And I've worked as a line cook and a chef throughout most of my 20s, and then started bartending as well. I was involved in theater. I was an actor, so it was kind of hard to be a chef. And so I went to the front of the house, and that was much easier. So yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. And then I guess I was never all that interested in being a manager. It was kind of easier to be a bartender.
Yeah.
And, you know, and make good money. I mean, it's kind of amazed at how easy it was, you know, to find lots of jobs. And certainly when I was bartending, you know, 20 years ago, wow. 15 years ago, you know, it was an easy life, and it was pretty good money for the time and the hours that I put in. But I slowly became more interested in, you know, cocktails. I became a cocktail geek, and I've always been interested in wine, but, you know, my real education in wine I didn't really take it all that seriously, except maybe started about 10 years ago or so. So the knowledge was there, but I, you know, sort of delved in much further with that. And then I realized, you know, it's like, started helping out as a bar manager. And this is my first general manager job. And I never really wanted to do a general manager job, but this is like the perfect place. If I was to ever do it, I couldn't pass it up.
It is a good place. Cesar is really fun. It's a beautiful bar for whoever has not been there. It's really cool. It's been there for a long time, 98. We opened that in 98.
Yep.
And super quality booze, wine, you know, food, everything is top quality, right? It's super, it's great.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the right size, you know, and great staff. It's the type of place I would want to go as a, you know, as a customer.
Yeah.
So we all work there.
So,
go ahead. Sorry, James. Go.
Yeah.
You guys have a long relationship.
I was going to say,
much longer than I do. So, you know, it's funny, you know, I certainly don't feel like an outsider at this point, but it's like, the history of that place and the time that you guys have spent there, and so many of the staff. We've got some cooks that have been there for 16 years or so.
What about Bill?
Yeah.
There's really not many places like it.
What about Bill, man? Bill is still there. Bill has been there since the beginning.
Yeah.
I actually hired Bill, and the first day he came, that was very funny. We were working at Cesar because we built the whole place ourselves with Richard Mazera, the old owner who died, unfortunately, like right before COVID. Crazy, huh? This guy knew or something.
Yeah.
But when Bill came, he was in a black tuxedo, like really all black. And he came in the place, and we were doing the white stuff on the wall before we paint. What is that? The
primer? Or?
Yeah. But you know, like this dusty stuff. Like you go in there and you start to so it's white everywhere. Everything is white. And he was coming with his black suit, you know, trying to avoid stuff. And we sat on those paint buckets in the back. So that was in the back. And then he left. When he left, he had like white. It was higher, so that was okay. But he left with that all kind of.
No, he's
Bill is
still a little.
And he's never and he's never forgiven you.
No, and the day after when he came back, he was in a white suit. I don't know, and then but we decided to paint in brown this time. So that was funny. And then there was Kathleen that was hired right away at the same time. Kathleen James. And me, we were the three bartender and bar manager, and then people just everybody wanted to work here. It was crazy. Everyone from every place wanted to. They came and they say, "Sure, only next time." I'm like, people are not living. They're just not living.
Yeah, we've had very little turnover over the years.
Right.
Yeah, first year and a half, I hired one server, one front of the house person. That's it.
Wow.
A year and a half. And then we got busier. So then I had to hire some more people. But
this place I remember when we started, and that was an interesting part about Cesar, our inventory, I don't know if you know that, but our wine and liquor inventory on hand was $150,000.
Yeah, I see some of the old menus, and I can't imagine where you guys kept all that stuff. I know it was like
it was under the benches, under someone's house, in the beds. But I tell you, people would come at Cesar because they could find anything they wanted. There was more than 500 different liquors. There's no bar in the world that has so many choices. We were one of the top bar in the world with that many selections. It was incredible. And we get to try all of this. Remember, James, we get to sip everything to make sure they're good, it's so much stuff.
Just doing my job.
Yeah.
Just doing my job.
Yeah, it's still,
so Cameron,
list. It's a great list. And, the fact that I can do, if you want to talk about wine, it's like 22, 23, 4 glass pours, not including even the sherry that we have on.
Oh, yeah.
And we go through enough, and we're busy enough that we can have all that on top of the liquor selection, on top of the good cocktails too.
Yeah. So, okay. Oh, look, James is frozen.
I think
James, you were frozen with your eye closed. Literally, you look like you fell asleep on time.
I did. I'm awake now, so.
Oh my God!
So you buy all the wine for Cesar, as well as the Cesar on Piedmont, as well as, do you buy for Fonda too?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Fonda.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
No, that's it. Yeah.
How's Fonda doing?
Fonda and Bar Cesar are quite similar. They're both Latin American restaurants. So sometimes I'll have some of the same wines on the. Place.
How's Fonda doing? Are they okay? I pass by. I live like literally a couple of blocks from there.
Yeah. I haven't really been to Bar Cesar and Piedmont or Fonda very much in the past several months. They're just selling through inventory, so they're not really, but they have a parklet out front in front of Fonda.
Yeah.
So they're doing some service out there, limited hours, so they're doing okay.
Yeah. Cool.
I didn't realize they had built a parklet. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of the other restaurants that Hal owns have parklets now in front of them.
Cool.
So how do you what's your criteria for putting a wine on our list? I mean, obviously you want wines that go with food, and I suppose you have to have some consideration of price, but
oh yeah, always.
What's your thinking? Right.
Gosh, it's a great list. Great chance for me to put together a list because it's there's so many things I can do, and I'm able to do, like I said, so many glass pours. I'm amazed when I go to places that do good business and they have 3 whites and 3 reds on the list. So the fact that we can have so many different wines, not only so many different wines, but customers that don't, blink at getting an $18 Burgundy by the glass or something like that. But then, so there's a lot of criteria that goes into it. It's just, but I can do a wide variety of wines. I do think about, always think about wines that'll go with, fresh, simple tapas food. But at the same time, we're not just a restaurant. We're a wine bar. We're a bar. So there's certainly plenty of people that just come in and want to enjoy a really nice glass of wine.
Right. Now,
maybe with some fries or something. So, it's like, it doesn't all have to be, go with acid and olive oil and that type of thing.
Now, Cameron, not all the wines are $18. Huh? You have a lot of.
No, of course not. Yeah.
I just want to make sure people understand, though.
Yeah. No, sure.
It's
a wide range of wines.
But it's
lots of wines, for $10, sherries for $8.
Right.
Like that. So.
And you make margaritas to go, and you make some awesome cocktails. The cocktails are pretty amazing, right? So that's
yeah. It's right now we don't have the full open bar. We're just sort of batching cocktails, but we might get to that point pretty soon. It's tough when you have all these people that used to come by every week and they're asking for their favorite cocktails that we used to do. And so maybe at some point we'll be able to do that. But right now we're just batching all the cocktails together.
Right. The problem with doing cocktails just, a la carte is that you have to have the ingredients available. So you have to have a lot of fresh juices. You have to have orange juice and grapefruit juice and lime and lemon. So if you're not selling those drinks, you're just throwing away a lot of fruit. So if we get to the point where we think people will support it,
with everyone right now, people don't know what to do because they have no idea how much they're going to sell. There's no it's completely random, and restaurants lose a lot of money every day because of that. They have all this food that they were planning on selling or doing something with it, and it's not going. And then the staff and all this. It's very difficult. It's really hard. I don't even know. I know a lot of people are closing. Lots of people are closing for good. So for good, gone. Yeah. And I don't know who's going to come behind. I mean, it's not easy to open a restaurant just like this. It's like people.
I have to say though that we did pare the menu down slightly. It's still a pretty full menu, and we sell everything on that menu. People order everything, and of course, if there was something that simply didn't sell, we'd take it off. But
it's a trick. It's always a trick. It's like for some, Moises has to make the tortilla española every couple of days, and if it doesn't move, it can't sit. So we had to take that off. But in general, mostly we don't have a problem moving our food. And it's, but it is a pared down menu. We still have lots of good options on there, but, and the other thing you have to consider is also food that travels well. Like the filet mignon is great. It's a great dish. People love it. It's not the best traveling dish. It's still very good.
Well, what do you mean traveling well? Like are they taking food back to Spain?
No.
Yeah. Right.
Just taking it home, So
this is my
come to pick it up, and our food is right on time. So it's like the kitchen pumps out food, and it's up there in 10 minutes for the most part, except for the paella. So you're getting your food nice and hot, but then you still got to get home, or you get caught in traffic getting over here, and
But a lot of people eat outside. Well, that's great.
Yeah, a lot of people are eating.
And they just go.
But you got to design your food around food that'll travel well. It's like we can't really do our Montaditos or toast because they're going to get jostled in your bag, and by the time you get home, it's going to be falling apart. But there's so many. A lot of sandwiches, and we have a ropa vieja beef stew that's delicious, and that travels really well. It stays nice and warm. Our paellas always travel well, especially if you're keeping them in the pan, which is always a big part of our business.
I do paella classes, by the way.
Good.
It's extraordinary how many people order paella every day.
Yeah.
Good dish. It's fun.
I wonder sometimes if the cooks just get sick and tired of making paella because they make it absolutely from scratch.
Yeah.
And
oh, wow. Really?
Well, in fact, people are always amazed.
Wow.
People are always amazed when they say, well, can I get it without this or without that? And we say, yeah, whatever you want, because they start from nothing.
Really?
So
the rice and everything, or they have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They got it down.
That's
amazing. They've really got it down, and it's so delicious. And that's a dish that, like you say, in the pan keeps hot for quite a while. And if it's not, you just throw the pan in the oven for a few minutes, and it's back up again. So, and it's also extraordinary to me how many people take it in the pan. Right. Because we can put it in a box for them once it's done. They cook it in the pan, of course. We can put it in a box, but people want it in the pan, even though they have to pay a deposit on the pan and bring it back. That's
one paella pan, small.
I've got about 40, Olivier. So more.
I got 30.
So we win.
I do classes, and every table has its own little. I used to.
Oh.
Now I do online, but that's the idea.
Yeah.
That's great. That's amazing to do from scratch. That's amazing. That paella must be really good.
That's why it's so good. That and the ingredients in it. We put diced up chorizo in with the rice, and there's seafood in it, and we use lobster
Good
stock.
chorizo. Good chorizo. Where's the chorizo from? From Spain, and not the.
Yeah. It's Spanish, of course. Yeah, and the lobster broth is a big part of it too.
Yeah.
We buy our lobster bodies coming in every week to make a stock, and that's a huge part of it. So
huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
We talked about stock with James. We were talking about the secret of the good restaurant food, and one of the secret is having a good stock.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like that's your base. This is your flavor.
Yeah.
That's something that people at home don't often do, or they buy stock that's not very good. But making your own stock and having it available makes food better. So, as Olivier mentioned, we have great cocktails. You've been the brainiac behind a lot of our house cocktails in the last few years. About, I would say, half our cocktails are your creations at any given time.
Yeah, maybe at this point. Yeah. I've had some other people have contributed to, and Bill certainly has.
Bill, yeah.
And there's so many cocktails that you guys have done over the years.
Yep.
At first I was hesitant to take them off the list, but then I noticed that people would come in and order it anyway, even if it wasn't on the list.
Right.
So the Cesar Martini, I came up with that. That was my drink.
Yeah. So I mean, there's just so many drinks. Of course, the sidecar, which I think I just want to keep that on the list all the time. But there's so many old classic drinks that you guys have come up with over the years that even if it's not on the list, people are ordering them anyway. So nice big recipe sheet behind the bar for everyone to remember the cocktails and make them consistently. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun coming up with different stuff.
Yeah, there's some cocktails that we've done over the years that were so popular that we haven't had them actually printed on the menu in 10 years, and yet people still order them routinely. The Cesar Martini's one, things like Dolce Vita and
what's the Dolce Vita? I don't know this one.
It's a mezcal drink. Isn't it mezcal?
Mezcal, grapefruit, lime, maraschino,
right?
Water bitter.
It's got it's a little spicy. It's got a little bite to it. It's really, really good. But there's a bunch of them that people still order. Even Olivier, remember even the Sorrento and the Cortini.
Wow.
The Cortini, which is one of my favorites with
Cortini,
Old Raj gin.
I think the Cortini. I think that was what's his name?
Tim. Oh, Dennis made that.
I think I don't remember. I
Who
came up
knows?
with the sangria though.
Sangria, yeah, that hasn't changed. No, that hasn't changed
because
at all.
We had the oldest Lambrusco that we had too much of that we were not selling, and we were looking for a way to get rid of it.
You use Lambrusco for it? Is that what you said?
In the beginning, we used Lambrusco. We don't use that anymore. We use a Moscato d'Asti.
Yeah,
Lambrusco was good because it was dry. So it was not. It was really a good cocktail. And
I saw that recipe. I think we still have this huge recipe file for a lot of these old ones. But the Moscato is a great quality product. We get it from Cameron Lynch, and it's just so easy to put together a good sangria with that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Jen,
before we go, I'm going to start a demo in about 5 minutes. But can you tell me, Cameron, what's the history of sangria? Do you have any idea? I mean, it's just wine and or what would you describe that? It's not really a good cocktail, but it's
a cocktail, and it's a good cocktail.
Sure.
It can be.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a garbage drink. Like getting rid of old wine or something like that. The nice thing about it is that it is very forgiving. And you can put a lot of different things. I've seen so many different recipes, and I have a recipe that I came up with for Bar Cesar, which is using some cheaper dry wine, red wine, and white wine, but a little fruit liqueur, cassis, kind of, and spiced bitters, kind of, livens it up. There's so many different ways to do sangria, and it's just like you can kind of compare it to, there's some classic American drinks like the cobbler, which are like lots of fresh fruit and oftentimes some wine with brandy typically, or that type of thing. I mean, there's so many versions of it and ways to do it. And it can be a great drink, especially if you don't want to drink something that's going to get you drunk too
Right.
fast.
So you make it lighter. So you can use white, reds,
Yeah.
fruits. You can use like
Sparkling wine. You can use some soda, seltzer in there too.
sparkling, and so I think Cameron, you should post a good sangria recipe. Make something fun to post, right?
Yeah, sure.
I think sangria is like a lot of classic Spanish foods, is that it probably originated with the peasants, and it was using materials that they would have had at hand. You cut up some fruit and throw it in a pitcher or a bowl, and you put wine in, and usually a dose of brandy, and let it sit for a while, and it's a pretty refreshing thing at the end of a day of hard work.
Yeah, and it is a nice way to use up that wine that maybe you didn't fully drink half of your bottle. That's why I said it doesn't have to be a garbage wine, but it can be very convenient too.
Yeah, the wine can be
fresh for these.
The wine can be a few days old. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
We make it by the glass at Cesar, but it's a drink that I like to make for parties, because I'll get a stock pot and I'll just make a big batch of it and dump in several bottles of wine and cut up a bunch of fresh fruit. It's a wonderful drink just to have on hand for a party. So people can help themselves. Not cooking it, right? You don't No, because when you say stock pot, there's no cook. It's just a vessel, right? No, I just use a pot to make it in, because I make I use it like a punch bowl, and then just let people help themselves. It's great to do for a party. I get pretty cooked when I drink it, but so Michael Charles Randolph says he learned to drink from Bill. What do you suppose he was doing before he met Bill? Do you think he was pouring it all over his face?
Right.
Bill said, no. Do it like this.
What do you have to say?
Hey, who is this person?
How much? Well,
we all have the same stylist. That's all it is.
Mine is in jail. My hairdresser is in jail. I'm sorry. Yeah,
I haven't had to go to a hairdresser at least during this whole thing. So.
That's so true.
No, me neither.
All right, so Cameron, you're welcome to stay with us. I'm just gonna make a mayonnaise with a little machine here, because people have a hard time with.
Cameron, I wanted to ask you one more thing. I have had the privilege of being at Cameron's apartment, and I've seen a closet there that looks like you could open a bar tomorrow in your apartment. You have enough bottles of liqueurs and bitters and spirits. Is it just a fun thing for you to try to dream up cocktails?
Oh, it's so fun. I mean, like I said, I really did become a cocktail geek living up in Seattle, which is a great cocktail town. And throughout, the 2000s, and then after 2010, I came up here shortly thereafter, down here. But yeah, it's, I was a bartender, and things were changing so quickly. Cocktails were getting so exciting, and people started going back to the old cocktails. And I realized it's like the best way to do it, of course, is at work. You can, if your boss is nice enough, you can start messing around and test out different cocktails. Mm-hmm. But if you just buy a bottle of liquor every few weeks, it doesn't go bad. And so that's what I started doing. Just every month or so, I would buy a new bottle of liquor, something to play around with, have plenty of different Amaros, plenty of different liqueurs. And then all I got to do is buy some citrus from the store. And so every week, I'm trying ideas at home. I'll make half-size cocktails. That way, if they're not good, I'm not wasting it or something. So I'm constantly doing that. I have a little drink journal.
Wow.
I write down good ideas and things that work and things
Very cool, huh? Oh my
God. It's like I have a million ideas. Most of them are really bad. So it's not until you've actually tried it that you actually can, know that it's good. So the only way to really get good at it, I think, is doing that experimentation.
Right.
Actually tasting these ingredients when they're all mixed together. Yeah.
Cameron does a lot of experimentation at work too, and he forces us to taste all his concoctions. We've talked to the union, but they said there's nothing they could do. We have to drink. So we get to try all kinds. But I think most of the things you make at work, maybe you've already played with it a while at home, but most of the things that you've been making at work are pretty good first time out of the gate. You know, sometimes you tweak them a little bit this way or that way, but
yeah,
pretty good stuff.
I'll have a drink that I'm working on for a couple months sometimes, and I'm just waiting for the right last ingredient or something, you know. Just So it's a cocktail. A good cocktail is a good cocktail recipe. So it's about getting it.
Amazing, man. That's so cool, huh?
Completely.
All right.
So listen, Cameron, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it. It was a nice little insight into the biz. We're going to do this demo now, and you're welcome to hang out, or you can sign off. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mayonnaise or Aioli, Cameron. So
I'll sign off, but I'll watch. I need to watch the demonstration, because that's one thing. Even as a young cook, I still messed up doing the homemade aioli constantly. So
I'm going to show you with this tool, which is a.
All right. Well, thanks, right, Cameron, and I'll see you soon.
I will see each other soon, definitely.
Thanks, Cameron.
Ciao.
All right.
So mayonnaise. There are at least 3 different cultures that claim to have invented mayonnaise. The French, of course. They've claimed to have invented it in the Balearic Islands off the coast of Spain, and in Catalan. Catalan, they claim mayonnaise, but mostly they claim garlic mayonnaise or aioli.
The mayonnaise. The name Mayo is from the Comte de Mayonnaise. It's a Mayo. That was the name of the guy. A Comte de Mayo or mayonnaise. It was in.
Well, they also claim that it came from it was dedicated to the town of Mahon, Mahon,
possibly
in the Balearic Islands. That it coincided with the French conquering that island, and that some chef came up with it as a dedication. But again, there's no solid documentation of any of this, so it all could be true. As I like to say, 3 different cultures claim to have invented it, and I believe them all. But they're all a little different. Like the way they make aioli in Catalan or Catalunya is very different than the way they make it in Provence, for example.
Yeah.
In Catalunya, it's basically garlic, salt, and olive oil. They don't use egg.
That's what I want to show. I want to show that it's basically you can make it with a lot of different stuff, right?
Right. The way we make it at Cesar, they still grind the garlic in a mortar and pestle, but they make the mayonnaise itself in the food processor, because they make big batches of it, and then they blend in the garlic, which is our aioli is so good.
You can totally do that with actually, I'm going to show you 2 ways.
Okay.
Good idea. That's a great idea, chef.
In Catalunya, they like to say that a proper aioli, you should be able to turn the mortar over upside down, and nothing should come out. It should be such a thick paste that nothing should come out of the bowl. So
actually, that's a good idea. You know what? I'm going to show you how to do 2 things. I was going to do that machine right here. This is super easy, very fast. But maybe I can show you that guy. That's really cool. How about this? All right, I'll show you this. So this one is easy, but I'm going to show you that guy right here, which is a different one.
Here's how you would make it in Catalunya. This is the if I can get this in here right. This would be the typical mortar and pestle that you would use. Those big marble mortar and pestles are so fabulous.
Let's do it. Let's do that. I was going to do with the machine, but no. Okay, so let me start with the garlic, because this is important, right? We need the garlic in there, because that's your binder. So I'm going to get some of those peel, and I'm going to show you how to peel the garlic easily. Now, you need a lot of garlic. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. Okay, a lot of garlic.
Nothing wrong with that. Don't apologize.
Well, all right, here. Jimbo, I lost my knife. I lost my knife.
Uh-oh. It's in my back.
Oh my God. All right, so you need, for the mayonnaise, normally you would need mustard, egg yolk, lemon, vinegar. I got a lime because I don't have any lemon, that's fine. And then I want to do a tomato mayonnaise like I used to eat with my mom at the beach. So mayonnaise with tomato with mayonnaise on it, beautiful stuff. So I'm going to show you how to make a really cool mayonnaise and a mortar and pestle. This is fun. For the garlic, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you something cool. To remove this, there's a lot of stuff and tools that people buy to remove that skin. It's actually pretty easy. You see that little tail, right? You see that tail, right? Ready? I'm going to do a light snap, light. Okay? Get that tail and look. Boom. Just like that.
Nice.
Okay.
Usually it just falls right out of there.
Just like that. Up. So don't smash it entirely, just crack it enough so the skin just peels out, just like this. Really easy. Okay? See? It's fast.
That's a real revelation, because when I first started cooking with garlic, I spent as much time peeling the garlic as I did cutting it up.
Oh, I know, man. I know. And everybody asks me, what's the trick? The trick is not to smash it entirely. That's it.
Yeah.
And now I'm just going to mince it rough because I'm going to actually break it in this guy. So I'm just going to remove this, the root. I didn't do this one. Remove the root. Get root, dump. And
by the way,
yes,
Chef, last
yes.
week we talked about kitchen first aid. We're never going to talk about that again, because right after we talked about it, you cut yourself, and then the next day I cut myself. I was chopping.
I cut myself a lot. It's
something.
So weird. Lately, it's been weird. It's the last 2 weeks, man.
I hadn't cut myself in the kitchen in years, and I was just cutting up some sausage, and I wasn't paying attention.
Right. Well, it's the thing is, right now I'm so broke, I can't even pay attention. So
I've been working on my family crest, and our new motto is we're broke, but we're woke.
What is that?
Woke means that I'm aware of social conditions and
the
plight of people of color and all that. So we're broke, but we're woke.
Right. All right, let me put that guy in work. For now, I can put some salt in there, like a nice amount of salt. Okay, don't be too. And the first thing I do is this. I'm just gonna grind it. That's all. Okay. And
the salt gives you something to grab onto. It gives you like some coarseness to help grind the food.
If I can. Okay.
I can smell that from here.
You can see what?
I can smell that from here.
Oh, I know. This is how. And now we're gonna put an egg yolk in there. Just the yolk, okay? And I'm going to put. Okay.
These are the yolks, folks.
Huh?
These are the yolks. Oh, nice.
And we can put some spices. Which one do you want, Chef? Do you want to do? I was going to do a sherry vinegar aioli, or smoked paprika, or.
I think the sherry vinegar would be nice.
The technique is going to be the same. At this point right here, I'm going to start adding my oil in drips, okay?
Now, do you add the acid later, or do you add it up front?
Yeah, later.
The Catalans, when they make their aioli, they use lemon sort of as a flavoring at the very end.
Yeah, I'm gonna put lemon after. But you see now, I am getting that.
And now the egg yolk, besides being delicious, acts as an emulsifier for the acid and the olive oil. Otherwise, it would never stay together. It's starting to look like mayonnaise.
Oh yeah. Wow, that looks good, huh? And you keep going, and then you can add your. So I'm not gonna put lime. I'm just gonna put drops of sherry vinegar to start with. That's gonna make it dilute a little bit, and I'm gonna keep going and keep going like this, and keep adding oil. See, it makes it thinner. As soon as I put water base, and then I'm gonna put more oil.
Very nice. Now, Olive, why wouldn't you just go to the supermarket and buy a jar of mayonnaise and open the jar? Wouldn't it be a lot easier?
So now, whoo.
So why don't you use jarred mayonnaise? Why wouldn't you just buy a jar of Miracle Whip and?
You know, I don't buy anything that someone else is gonna make. I don't trust food. Why would I do? It's just so simple to make. I get some really good eggs. I put my own oil. I put tons of garlic. I know it's going to be super awesome. And now I'm gonna dress it. So this is good. I can put a little more oil if I want to, or I can stop. I'm gonna stop. Make it really. Okay. So let's say I want to stop here. Okay. People are going to ask often how much eggs, how much. It doesn't matter. Okay, so this is a very traditional aioli made in a molten and mortar, and I'm going to dress them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some tomatoes and slice them up, and those are from Monterey Market, chef. Really good.
Nice.
I put 2, and now let's do some cleaning. And I'm gonna.
And by the way, you could make that same aioli without garlic. I mean, it wouldn't be aioli; it would just be mayonnaise. Yeah. But you could. Basically, the technique is the same, right?
Oh my God! Look at that.
That's probably against the law in certain places. So good.
And now you can do whatever you want on it, and that's it. So this is my very fast mayonnaise. And the thing with mayonnaise, first of all, eggs are really good for you. I don't know who said that eggs are not good, but those people should go away. It's enough. And certainly, like, food is good for you as long as it's good food to start with. Other than that, I have nothing to worry, and you should stop worrying about the food. Food is not your enemy. The eggs we're using are really good. The oil I'm using is really good. A lot of garlic. Imagine how awesome that dressing is with all the garlic and all the goodies I put in there. This is like really healthy food, right? It's not bad. Yeah. It's super good. It's super healthy. And this is something that we love. With my mom, we used to go to, every day we used to go to the beach, and my parents, they don't buy food. We bring the tomatoes, always tomatoes during the summer, and we had this mayonnaise that we put on every time. And I used to love it. So it's a memory. It's kind of a weird memory stuff.
Yeah.
So aioli can
now
be
in
done.
Provence they make that same aioli, and then you eat it surrounded by blanched vegetables that you dip into the aioli.
That is called the aioli. The aioli
Yeah.
is a dish of boiled
Right.
boiled potato and carrots, and that's it. And maybe it's boiled potatoes and carrot, and then cod, and
Yeah.
then you eat like you sit down around, I don't know, 4:30 or 5 p.m. and you eat until 10 or 11 and just eat that, and the aioli is the dish. And in August 15 in the village in France, there's one menu, so the whole center of the village is completely occupied by tables, and you sit down and you order your aioli, and then you stay there the whole night and you dance, and everybody, and at the table you stay there the whole night and you keep eating that aioli, and they keep adding that, and man, so you eat a lot of garlic. It's really fun.
You have some crusty bread and probably drinking some rosé wine.
Yeah. And the whole village is here. It's beautiful stuff. So this is really how you do a mayonnaise. Thank you. Actually, thank you, Jem, for reminding me about this. This motto.
You're welcome.
This is actually how I used to do it, but it's kind of a pain. I mean, it's pain. But this is a really good aioli, though. It's much better, right?
But you can see, I mean, but I mean, our viewers can see just how fast and easy making a mayonnaise is, or an aioli. It's just so simple. If you and they're mostly ingredients you're going to have in your kitchen anyway. You're going to have salt, you're going to have olive oil, you're going to have vinegar, and most people have eggs on hand.
And sometimes when it doesn't work, you can put some mustard in there to make it more emulsified.
Right.
That doesn't work. Okay?
Right.
But that's a good one.
And that's something you can make in 10 minutes before dinner. When I do a classic aioli, I blanch all kinds of vegetables. I do pieces of fennel. I do fennel, various things, whatever's good in the market at that time. And you just blanch it in a little salted water because you want it to still be crisp. That's the key to a successful aioli, is you want the vegetables to still be firm. You blanch them enough just so you start to break them down so they're a little easier to eat. And you just dredge them through that mayonnaise. And
So blanching is very fast, especially, so like, for example, if I do broccoli or Brussels sprout, I'm going to blanch them between 20 and 30 seconds, 20 seconds and 30 seconds. Green beans, depending on their size, between a minute and 3 minutes. You just want to break a little bit the fibers to eat them, but you don't want to destroy them. And then on the aioli, you can use any type of spices. I can use smoked paprika here. So I could add a little bit of smoked paprika to make it kind of fun. Okay. It's not spicy, but it looks cool. Usually people don't put black pepper on it because it doesn't look good. But other than that, it's not a problem at all, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Wow.
Oh, that looks really good. Yeah, it's good.
Oh my God. It is strong in garlic.
Great. Now that's another reason that you want to use good eggs.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to take
because that egg is you're using a raw egg in a sauce that you're not going to cook.
Right.
So that makes it all the more important that you should know where your eggs are coming from. You should buy eggs that were raised in a natural environment. You don't want to buy eggs from a huge factory.
You mean a natural environment, like a chicken's butt?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to be the one to say it, but you're right. You're right.
So today was fun. I mean, we're not done. I want to talk about how good the eggs are and why eggs are so important. What is that?
Here's a picture of a big Provençal marble mortar and pestle. They always have the wood pestle, and then the mortar is all marble. They're huge. And this one, they're just starting to make it. They've mixed the garlic, and now they're pouring the oil in. Great stuff.
Maybe
Great
I should do a
stuff.
video on that. Because it took literally 3 minutes for me to do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's nothing.
It's fast.
And you
it's
make
easy.
the best aioli. And this is with the mutton pesto, you make the best aioli because it goes slow. So even though I went fast, it's not like the machine that breaks through the thing. It's very gentle. It's like pesto. The pestos originally are made in that thing, in the mutton pesto, right? The pesto, the basil. Same idea.
All those things were originally made in a mortar and pestle because people didn't have blenders. They didn't have electricity. So that's what you made things in. And if you go to any old kitchen in Provence or northern Italy, all throughout the Mediterranean, you're going to see a huge mortar and pestle as a component of that kitchen.
Right.
They're fabulous, and that you can make so many things. And there's nothing like making a fresh
mayonnaise or aioli.
Pesto made in a mortar and pestle is so good.
Wow.
The texture's better. It's different. It's really good. Sometimes a food processor can cut things too much, and there's too much heat generated.
Yeah.
Because you're cutting it so fast that you get that heat, and it kind of cooks it a little bit. It's not to say you can't make good mayonnaise or good pesto or good sauces in a food processor, but I think everybody should try to do it in a mortar and pestle at least once. It's really fun to do.
Okay, so also that show is archived on our YouTube channel, and it stays on Facebook anyway. So if you want to go back to the video and look at how I made that aioli, I made it from a mortar and pestle. I made it in 3 minutes. You can go back to 340 or something when I started, so you guys can rewind and check that segment where I did that. It takes literally 2-3 minutes done.
Also, you looked fabulous while you were doing it, so people want to pay attention to that too.
Oh yeah, forgot that part. Now there's another thing they do in Lebanon, which is garlic and oil and parsley. And it's their own aioli, and it's no egg. It's garlic and oil, and you have this paste, that beautiful stuff, which is a garlic oil. You can add parsley or not, and it's a mayonnaise without eggs, literally.
Right.
Really good.
Well, that's the original recipes from Catalonia. They don't use egg. They just use salt, oil, and garlic, and they make it into a thick paste. The egg started coming later. I like the egg in there. I think it adds a nice element. I think it gives it a nice emulsification.
I think they
I wanted to also.
I think they came 9 months later.
Yeah. So the chicken was there first, is what you were saying. Okay, you heard it here, folks. We finally figured it out. The chicken came first.
The uncle came first.
But I wanted to point out also that aioli is good for other things. It's good for so many things. It's good on sandwiches. You just spread it on little toasts, and you can put all kinds of things on top, like sardines or roasted peppers or all kinds of things. One of the servers at Cesar was joking one day because she said, "Oh my God, I just proved it. Aioli makes everything better." Because whatever she would order for her staff meal, she would get some aioli from the kitchen and put it on there. And she was right. Everything, we serve it with our fried potatoes. We serve it with our patatas bravas. We put it on the montaditos. We put it on several of the bocadillos. We serve it with our little fried croquettes, just everything. It's so good, and it's so versatile.
You know, I still hear people telling me that they can't eat eggs because of the cholesterol. And it's interesting because that has been debunked, a couple of years ago. It's done. We're done with that. So you can't think that anymore.
These people need to come out of the dark ages.
Yeah.
They need to see the light.
Understand the cholesterol in the egg, first of all, it's not the same one. And your body will make cholesterol regardless. The body makes about something like 3,000 milligrams of cholesterol. He needs cholesterol in order to make vitamin D, which is very important today. Everybody's heard about the vitamin D and COVID. Well, in order to make vitamin D, you need cholesterol. So this is just an example. So just be careful with removing the cholesterol, because the cholesterol is here because of a reason. If the body makes it, it's because it needs it. Just stick to that first.
Just don't be afraid of your food.
Yeah.
But just don't buy all these concoctions in the store. Buy real food, mix it together yourself, and you're not going to go wrong. I mean, if you're buying vegetables, fruit.
Look, we have a lot of classes online. Now online, the cool thing, it's much more affordable. Obviously, we can't charge the same amount of money. It's stable for us. But for you guys, there's so many opportunities to learn. You need to cook at home. There is no other alternative. That's the thing. I'm trying to, people, they keep buying the food to go and to go. Yeah, a lot of food is really good and a lot of crappy. And when someone buys a dinner for 15 or 18 bucks, I don't understand what they're buying because I know the price of food. There's no way you can have an entree with like all this stuff for like 18 to 22 bucks. This is impossible. So anyway. All right, James. Well, that was great, man.
That was a good show. Thank you for the demo, Olive. Thanks to our guest, Cameron, who's an awesome guy. Stop by Cesar and say hello to him.
I will tonight.
And thanks, everybody, for joining us today. We will see you next Monday. In the meantime, don't be afraid of your kitchens.
Thank you, James.
And stay safe.
Guys.